Hey, hello, good evening, all beautiful women here, and all guys who are here to attend my session. And I'm so glad that you all are here on day 12 of my this you now know, yeah, Women Empowerment Mastery Program. So this is day 12, and today I'm going to catch on a very important thing and very important skill, that is presentation skills, right? So this skill is so important nowadays for in all aspects of your life, right? Be it your most of the time it is your professional life, it's your business life, it's your entrepreneur life, which is very important. And this skill is so much essential for this type of streams, right? So without even for delaying further, because I know I'm a little late, I'm so sorry. I was out somewhere and I thought I will reach on time at my home. This is my beautiful home. And yes, I took some time to set up, and that is where I really want to tell you something that can be the learning for all of you. So whenever you have to have this presentation planned or scheduled, you have to be on time, and that is precisely a lesson which you can learn from me today, from my behavior or my action, right? So not taking this into the negative mode of, but let's begin with the presentation skills and let's go ahead, right? So to begin with, what is kind of what is the definition of presentation? So the act of giving or showing something to somebody, that is known as presentation, right? So presentation skills are, if I have to define presentation skills, then I have to define this way, that these are the actually the abilities that one needs in order to deliver, engage, compel, be informative, transformative, educational, enlightening, and instructive presentations. Okay, so there are these abilities one needs to acquire in order to deliver all these areas, right? Central to effective presentation skills is actually it is actually skills are like public speaking, or the tone of your voice, or the body language, or the creativity in your presentation, or how you deliver your presentation. So presentation, if I see for myself, it is also about how you present yourself to the world, to the people who are listening to you, to the people who actually want to take something from you, knowledge, information, or anything. If they want to really adapt your style, your leadership style, then that is also a kind of presentation skill which all the women leaders who are here, they need to acquire that skill, right? And it is not so easy, though it sounds it's so simple, but it is not. And that is where I want to deep dive today into this skill, so that we all women who are in the who have just begun their career, or who are in the middle management level, or who are already in on the path of the growth in that area, and those guys who also want to learn what are the presentation skills and how they can benefit you in all areas of life, be it your business or be it's your startup. So I just want to deep dive into this, and I want to take you to some of the areas which you will find that they are really essential, right? So before I go with that, a few years back, I was listening to one of the very very brilliant orator of our country, Tanvi Bhatt. Yeah, she is the one. You can see that you can see all her presentations if you see her Google it, right? So this Tanvi, she is such an excellent orator that when I was listening to her, when I actually joined some of the online courses of Tanvi, but I realized that she was so much in the knowledge of how you can present yourself to the outer world, as well as to the people who are very close to you. So when I understood that how presentation can impact your growth, I realized that I also need to actually develop this ability in my area, and that is where my journey began, right? So it is very much important to be a good presenter. So that is where, you know, if you want to convey your ideas, if you want to convey information to your audience, you must present them well, right? So a lot of people who are in the inbox saying yes, yes, yes. I will be moving a little bit, fast today, but I will cover the max part of the presentation skills. So effective presentations will stay with your audience long, even after they've gone home, even if you are gone home, and they are, even when they are out of the the auditoriums or wherever you are giving your presentation, conferences rooms or town halls, they carry that message so well through your presentation that whenever, even if they reach home, they still have those things in their mind. So being a good presenter can make a difference in how well your audience understands your information, what you want to convey, and how likely they are to engage with your message, right? So because message is a very important thing which you deliver to your presentation. Be it if you are a leader in your area, you are leading a team of 100 line managers, or people are below you, it is such a big and very important ability that whatever message you want to convey, that has to be presented so well, so that it remains with them for years and years. Especially I'm talking about CEOs of the companies, or the entrepreneurs who have a team, or so that the message is so clear, because that brings culture also to the organization, and hence leaders are always looked at as if they are the best, because they have good presentation skills. So let's go and deep dive, what are those 10 things which are important, for becoming a great presenter, right? So this is, before you talk or deliver any presentation, you have to know the topic very well. Whatever you are going to deliver to the audience, you have to know that this topic has to be understood by you very well. So it is important to be knowledgeable about your topic, right? So so that you will come across as a confident person who is a subject matter expert in that particular topic. So thoroughly studying your topic will also help you feel more confident and offer helpful answers to audiences, their questions, their queries, their concerns after your presentation. So why? When I started with my empowerment mastery program, do you think I was so, from last 12 days, you are watching this episodes on YouTube live. So, do you think that I am an expert in each and every skills which I represented? No. But if I have to present this to you, I have to deliver that information or the knowledge to you, so that you get benefited from it, or your lives get impacted from this. Then obviously I had to deep dive in so many things, be it like decision making, or forgive, the skills to forgive and forget, or how to interpersonal skills, because these are the areas, decision making, or knowledge, wisdom, all these things which I covered in my earlier YouTube lives. They are, and in the webinars also, in the live webinar, I'm so sorry, not YouTube also, but in the webinars, these are topics which I really studied so hard. I deep dived into all those, independent of what I have to deliver. I really went through lot of literature. I really made everything on the slides, and I said, okay, before I present, I should be very clear what I want to deliver to my audience. So having said this, that the second thing, which is a very important tip, is outline your presentation. So, outlining your presentations can help you stay on track and keep the audience focused on your key ideas, right? A good way to improve on this presentation skill is to tell your audience what you will cover in your presentation. So, sometimes you might have seen that people always cover the kind of agenda or the outline before they start with the presentation or with their speech. Yeah. So, having said that, you don't need to go into detail, right? But giving the audience a simple overview of the topics which you want to discuss, that will make it very clear what the presentation is all about and the message they should hope to take away with them, right? So they are mentally prepared to grasp that information. They are mentally ready to grasp that piece of knowledge which you will be delivering through your presentation, right? So practice your presentation. Sometimes it is said, but those who are good orators, or those who have a very good hold on their presentation skills, and those who have studied the topic very well, they may not practice so much. They will just articulate the thoughts in their mind and they will go with the presentation, right? So but those who are the beginners, or those who really think that they need to work more on the presentation skills, or those who think that some of the points can get missed out, they probably can practice their presentation well in advance. So practicing your presentation ahead of time allows you to address any issues you may not have anticipated, because sometimes it happens that when you are ready with the presentation, but you have skipped or ignored some of the important issues which can come during the question answer sessions, or somebody asking you about more in detail. Then in that case you should practice your presentation, because because there are sometimes, there are so many visual aids which you add into your presentation. So when you are running through those slides, it is very important that you should be knowing how the visual aids are added incorporated in your presentation, and what is the timeline which you have set for those visual aids, and for how much long you want that particular visual aid to be visible to your audience. So these are the time limits which are set in the presentation, and you all are aware that how they can impact the flow of your presentation, right? So practicing also makes you a better presenter. Yeah, so many of you are saying yes, and I do agree with that, because for me also it took a lot of time to really understand this presentation skills. I remember the days in around 2006 or 2008, when I was I was allowed to give a full-fledged presentation on technology transfer, which was a kind of my domain in my area. You can easily understand, me being the research and development side scientist, I was short of some of the information, and I really had to deep dive to understand all the concepts of technology transfer, because it was not only about technology transfer for tablets, capsules, that is oral solid dosage forms, that is what we call in pharmaceutical world, but it was also about semi solids or injectables. So I had to incorporate a lot of information in my presentation, and I had to really deep dive and practice that presentation before I went live, right? So giving this example, and I'm so open, because I don't want you people to take the presentation part of anything so casually, because that is very essential for your overall growth. How you present as a leader, how you present as a subject matter expert in a particular topic, for that if you practice really well, it is always beneficial, not only for that particular presentation, but for all your presentations and for your future growth, right? So this can also help you to ensure that you don't stumble over words, right? Or forget any critical pieces of information. And we are human beings, right? As I covered earlier, we are bound to make some of the mistakes. We are bound to skip some of the critical areas of the presentation. Sometimes maybe because we want to go fast, because or we are not good in that piece of information. So it is bound that some of the critical information can get missed out. So it is always better to practice that presentation. And it also allows you to focus on presenting other elements, like non-verbal cues, or the personalities, or those people who are going to attain your presentation in a meeting, in a town hall, or wherever. You understand better the psychology of the people who will be your audience, and then accordingly you prepare. So it is always better to practice the presentation, right? So the fourth tip which I want to give is keep slides and visual aids very simple. Don't make them more complicated, because try to avoid using much text on your slides. Yeah, So slide presentations can be a great way to share information and structure your talking points, but don't use them but extensively or explicitly. Use them sparingly, so that the picture, the graph, the bullet points, and they look much cleaner, right, on slides. Yes, how many of you are saying yes to it? Yeah, so they look more cleaner than the larger blocks of text, and there are a lot of information as bullet points. So people may not stick to your presentation, people may not stick to your message. So that is why it is so important that you have to keep your slides and the visual aids very simple. Yeah, so your deck should be visually appealing, yeah, to keep your audience engaged. And there is so much which you can see nowadays on Google, which will give you in-depth knowledge on how you can actually frame your slides, what kind of things which are available to make the presentation. So you can use those things to make your presentations very relevant, right, to the audience. Yeah. So the fifth tip which I want to give is keep always keep an engaging pace and tone. This is very, very essential. Why I'm saying this? Because your pace and your tone can significantly impact your success as a presenter. Because then, if your pace is fast, if your tone is slow, then you may not your audience may not understand what you are trying to tell them, what you are trying to convey to them. Because that is why the pace, wherever you feel that you have to give more time to the important topic or the subtopic in your presentation, you have to reduce your pace, and you have to also maybe your pitch or your tone has to be little bit elevated, yeah, so that whatever you want to stress, something very important in that presentation, comes out very well, it gets delivered, like anything. Yeah, absolutely at the shot. Yeah. So rather than delivering your presentation in a monotone voice, so if you see now my presentation, this is not the acquired kind of, this is not the one which I in my past, if you see, this is not the pitch or the tone which was there earlier with me. So this is the acquired skill, this is the skill which I acquired over a period of time, and with so many experiences of delivering presentations. So when you want to stress on some of the very important topics or subtopics in your area, keep an engaging pace and tone, right? So rather than delivering, sometimes it happens that it becomes so monotonous, or that people, I am so sorry to say this, but you might have seen, especially if it is after the lunch hours or something, people do go to sleep, right? If the your presentation or your voice or your tone is so low, right? So yeah, think of an analogies as a way of delivering facts, as though you are telling a story, so that your audience is glued to your topic, right? So whenever you are giving any kind of presentation, see to it that you are telling it as if it is a story. So especially those who are into mentoring, coaching, those who are into storytelling, those who are into sales business, those who are into business development, they need to have a story to tell to their audiences, right? So putting emphasis on certain words in your presentation or slowing down may help you explain complicated information more clearly to your audience. This is so essential, because sometimes I have seen that in many of your areas, when you're into counseling, probably that is the best example, you have to really put emphasis on certain words, slow down. So because these are the complicated things, when you are doing your counseling to your clients, it is so important that they understand what you are trying to tell very clearly. So listening to other speakers may also give you an idea. That is what I have learned. I remember when I actually was working on my presentations or my skills, to improve on my this skill, I have gone through thousands of presentations, so that I'm listening to them, listening to those prominent speakers, because you tend to learn a lot from them. Yeah, because they are the masters in their areas. So when you listen to the speakers, their voice modulations, their body language, their confidence, their knowledge, their expertise in the topics, you understand, that gives you an idea of using your voice and your tone, or the pace of your voice, or the speed of your information to your advantage during your presentation. So lot of wow moments here, but I'm not going to stop, dear ladies, here. I have to deliver this, and I am ready to answer all your queries on in during genesis at the gmail.com. You can ping me on Facebook Messenger on my page. You can WhatsApp me. So the sixth tip which I want to give you is take a voice lesson. Yeah, take a voice lesson. So if your job really requires you to make a lot of presentations, you may want to consider taking voice lessons. Okay, so one second, please. So this is why I'm saying, because now you now just saw what I'm doing. I'm having a sip of warm water here. My job involves lot of speaking. It requires lot of, and me being a I have some issues with my thyroid gland, and still I have to see to it that my voice and its quality, because I'm a good singer also, right? So for me, it was so essential, to take the voice lesson. I learned Hindustani classic for almost a year, and I also attended some of the public speaking classes also, so that I understand what is the quality of my voice, what is the quality of my pitch, what is the quality of my tone, because that is so important. I learned a lot from Tanvi, but I just want to say I learned from lot of public speakers, and I observed them, right? So when they were talking, it was just a learning experience for me. So if your job requires you to make a lot of presentations, you may want to consider to take voice lessons, dear ladies, to learn how to communicate clearly, how to communicate loudly, how to communicate pleasantly, how to communicate gracefully. Yeah. So voice lessons are not only for singing, like for me, I use it for multiple purposes. So professional voice coaches, they also work with lot of individuals who want to improve their voice when communicating verbally. So if you see, Malishka. Now I want to give example of Malishka. The moment she's on on FM, you know what kind of magic it is, right? Yeah. So if John Tony Robbins is going to speak, what you are going to get it, right? Because because there are so many leaders, when they speak, you remember their voice in your ears for years. So voice is so much essential part of your presentation. So voice coaches can help you alter the qualities of your voice, like as I said, pitch, tone, resonance, rhythm, everything. They can even help you strengthen your voice and eliminate issues such as poor pronunciation. Because sometimes I have seen, there are a lot of people, lot of my clients, they come to me and they say, ma'am, my pronunciation, I come from a vernacular medium, my pronunciation is bad. Or when I go for global presentations, it is they don't understand sometimes my accent. So all these things will be covered by voice coaches, and they will make you perfectly ready in area of your voice. Yeah. So the seventh tip which I want to give is, eliminate filler words. So what does that mean? Sometimes the words like mm, oh, in between can actually distract your audience and make you seem a little bit nervous, less confident. So it is important to work on eliminating them. One of the easiest ways to accomplish this is by rehearsing your presentation in advance or beforehand. This can help you notice how often you use these fillers when you speak. Yeah. So while you are speaking, you should understand where you stop. While you are, taking a pause, and what kind of words which come out of your mouth. You should understand that. You should try to minimize these feelers, and that is so essential. I have seen classically, there was a classical, I don't want to name the person, but yes, he nothing, no offense to anyone, but he had the habit of using keyword, like, I want to tell key. He was coming from a very different background, and so Hindi was so much a part of his integral life, daily life. So he used to use these words. See, such kind of words can really put or distract the audience. They might form opinion that you are not well versed with English. They, or in this case classically. And there was another example which I want to give, that I had seen one guy who was now with who was my client, and who was in those days as just a team leader, right? But then now he is in a big multinational company. He's a senior vice president. Yeah, but he had the habit of, at every word he used to say, he had the habit of saying right. Yeah, it's such a simple thing, but this rhyme used to get repeated so many times in his presentation that it was becoming, most of the times, it was becoming monotonous. Yeah, so when we use such kind of words, we have to see them as feelers. We have to identify these feelers, and for how many times, what is the frequency of using these feelers in your presentation or while you're speaking, and you have to minimize them, right? So if you find this challenging at first, you can try to replace that filler with something, like I can give silence. Yeah, you just have to take a pause instead of using it. When you want to really practice on that part, you just have to take a pause. You have to keep quiet. You have to go into silence. Yeah. So pausing some portions of your presentation may sound more natural and even help you emphasize specific points rather than using those fillers again and again. Yeah. So pausing can also be an opportunity to take a sip of water, as I did it. Yeah. Yeah. Or to switch to a new slide. Yeah. Sorry. I'm so sorry. But yes, I have taken this break. Yeah. So the eighth one is use non-verbal cues. Yeah. What is it? So one of the most important things to do is to engage with your audience. If you are presenting to a smaller group, attempt to take a moment to look at each person during your presentation, because I have seen a lot of leaders, those group leaders typically, or those who are at assistant manager level. I don't know, because they may be lower middle management, but these people, they have a classical habit of not actually looking at the audience, maybe because of fear, maybe because of lack of confidence, maybe because they don't have adequate knowledge in, or the knowledge about that area, topic, or maybe they are getting anxious what kind of questions will come, so they don't look at the audience. So with a larger crowd, then it will become more prominent, right? So when you are with a larger crowd, you can look in the crowd's direction without looking at any specific person. So that is a thumb rule. So when you are with the smaller group, always make eye contact with the audience. Yeah, but when you are in a larger crowd, you always have to look into a direction and not looking at a specific person. Yeah, always remember this thumb rule. So basically, when you are in town hall, you don't have to look at the the dignitaries who are there on the dais, or where you the front row leaders. So all those things, they are very very important. So because in town halls, if you see the functional leader, they always sit in the first row, right? And then followed by other people. So you don't have to look at the first row, you have to look in the at the direction of the audience, right? So these are the simple things, yeah, that they are very important. Now somebody is asking me, how can we have this keep this non verbal cues in mind? So keep in mind these non verbal cues, they, because these are small things which can help project your confidence. Yeah. So when you are looking at you are in a larger crowd but looking at only one person, that means you are not able to face the other people. Yeah, that is the less confidence. So when referencing slides, try to remain facing. Yeah, try to remain facing your audience, so that only at a glance at the slides, and that is enough for a moment, because then you don't have to dwell on those slides. Because the moment you dwell on the slides, people know that you have not done your homework well, you are short of your information. So hand gestures can be a good way to make your presentation more engaging, and that is also because that can help reduce nervous habits. So even if you are nervous, even if you feel that you are going to get lost somewhere during the presentation with some of the important topics, you can you can work on this habit using these hands, right? Why? Because they can keep you away, they can replace your nervous habits, and they that can also help, such as fidgeting or crossing your arms. Or sometimes some people stand like this, or no, they stand like this. Sometimes there are some different kind of movements, like this, or looking somewhere, about up. So all these things you can avoid if you really have those hand movements in place. Yeah. So the ninth one is know your audience. So before you are going for a presentation, always see to it that who will be the attendees. Yeah, they are coming from which part of the India, which part of the globe, or which kind of function, which are their domain areas. Are they subject matter experts? Are they from different kind of organization? So all these things you need to keep in mind. Your presentation style should change depending on your audience. Yeah. So if you are presenting to an audience in a professional setting, now can you see that change? If you are presenting to an audience in a professional setting, keep your style professional and focus on conveying your information. But if it is a young audience, yeah, if it is a young audience, you need to be a vibrant person. You cannot keep that same style of giving the monotonous presentation in a very monotonous voice. So when you are a young with younger audience, you actually can present so well if you know what's happening around the world, around the in areas of youth, or the information which is so catchy and so of interest to this youth audience. Always do know your audience, so that you are prepared with some homework, so that you can engage with them immediately. So like, especially if I was I can give one example, that when I was attending an event of my school, yeah, of my school, where I actually did my schooling up to 10th standard. So I was there invited as one of the dignitaries and one of the keynote speaker to on 75th year celebration. And you will not believe that when I saw the audience, this small school going children, and I really went into those days when I was a student and I was a school going child, and how I was, with so much interest, I used to actually listen to the speakers on the stage. In those days, it was not a kind of a bigger platform, but it was a small platform, and our teachers, our respected teachers, used to come to the dais, and they used to deliver some of the speeches. And I, very interestingly, I used to listen to them. So when I realized that my audience is going to be the school children, and how I should be, so so these are, and I changed my style. I changed my style of presentation. So this is how everyone has to do, right? So if you are presenting in such a, with a sense of humor for such a youth audience, or to the school going children, or you ensure that your content is also appropriate to the educational level. So these are the areas where you, beforehand, you know your audience and prepare yourself accordingly. Now, arriving early, as I gave this example, very important example, that this is the example wherein I today I came little late here. I arrived little late here, because that is not the thing which one should be doing. Arriving at your meeting locations little early gives you time to get comfortable with the room, with the surrounding, with the equipment before the presentation starts. So if you have anything to set up, you can do so that without rushing too much, or ensure that sometimes the pen drive doesn't work, sometimes the pointer is not working, sometimes there is no connectivity. All those kind of issues can be resolved if you reach a little bit early. So getting there early can also give you time to ease your nerves, even if you are not a frequent presenter. But if you have little bit anxiety, that will give you time to settle down with your nerves and drink some water and prepare yourself better before the session starts. Yeah, so having said this, now I want to give something very important. Yeah. So, now there is one aspect which I want to cover here. You know, the stage presence and the your outer personality. This is so important. I tell you, if you are a presenter, yeah, and your stage presence is not kind of presence which keeps the audience glued, they will walk out, or they will not pay attention. So what you can do for this? Yeah, what you can do this. So sometimes I have seen you see Shivkera, and you see how he starts his session with some enthusiasm. If you see all MLM, multi-level marketing people, when they start reaching out to their audience in meetings, how they start with enthusiasm, right? And that actually builds lot of confidence in them. And then what they keep nowadays, you see that before the presentation starts, all this I have seen event of Herbalife, how they start with such a loud music, such a very encouraging kind of music, as a as if you are going to lead a team of so many. And they start with that music. The leaders who are from that area, they come there, they sign off the books which are presented by the audience there. They runningly, so fast they sign up, and they create a kind of stage presence before they actually start with their presentation or before they speak. So all these things are so important. Now coming to the external appearance part of it, today I have taken some, you can see that change. Today I have taken some efforts, not much, but I have taken some efforts to put something to make my appearance little bit, a little bit graceful, which you can say. I put this kind of thing, the jewelry is matching. And yes, I want to look a little bit graceful today. So these are the areas which anyone can work on. Yeah. So sometimes back I remember that I have two examples to give you. That this guy, one guy who is now managing director of the company in a pharma company, he was a completely chain smoker. Yeah, I want to give this example here because when you go for any kind of meeting and you are smoking outside and coming with that kind of a smell of your smoke in your conference room or in your town hall, or when you're passing through, that is where people just you know it's a no moment for the audience, right? So all these things, you need to really understand how your external um, what, yeah, I can say external personality or your habits from which people see from outside, they how they can judge you before you actually reach the stage. So these are the areas, some I have seen so many people, they are so simple. Now you can take the case of Sudha Murthy ji. Yeah, but even when she's so simple, but when she goes to the stage and with that graceful smile, when she starts addressing people, everything changes. So these are the people, they don't have know much about the such kind of outer appearance. There's so many who don't know about my such kind of appearances, but they can glue the audience to their seats by their own orating skills, their own orator kind of things, their knowledge, their wisdom. But there are few, like who need to really work on their outer appearance as well. I remember somebody. I was, sometimes back, I was heading the research and development department in one of the organization. And I remember a girl, a very junior girl, from my team coming to, from my, not my team, but from other team coming to me and telling me, "Ma'am, why are you wearing all the time this salwar kameez?" And it stuck so hard to me. I think I have given that example in so many forums, but it stuck so hard to me that yes, I decided very consciously to change my outer appearance. So these are all the areas wherein you need to work as a presenter. So that also gave me some insight to groom myself for the leadership roles. Yeah, so sometimes such kind of feedbacks are also very important. So whenever you present something, you always have to understand that your presentation has to be crisp, precise, your pitch has to be, and the tone and the voice has to be very modulated. Yeah, and yes, you have to also be willing to take lot of questions and answers after presentation. So having said this, I think I'm going to sign off today a little bit early because I have to really rush for an urgent meeting. I'm very transparent and clear here. I have to rush for some another meeting, and I have to reach there by 5:30. Yeah, so having said this, I'm signing off. I just want to quote, I want to end, I just want to end with my beautiful quote. So I'm going to give one quote which is from Shivkera. So he says so brilliantly that leadership is about presentation. Leadership is about persuasion, and leadership is about persuasion, presentation, and people skills. Yeah. So that is so beautiful quote from Shivkera, and it gives the essence of everything. Why presentation skills are so important. Yeah. The second one is coming from Mark Benef, and he says presentation skills are key. People who work for you represent your brand. Yeah, so people who work for you, they represent your brand, so you want them to present themselves and represent you in a certain way, and that is why presentation skills are so key, and success parameter is based on this presentation skill as well. Yeah. So the third one, which is coming from Theo Gold, he says communication is your ticket to success if you pay attention and learn to do it effectively. So having said this, it sums up everything why presentation is so important, because it's a super combination of your knowledge, your communication skill, your voice quality, and your in-depth knowledge about every area, about your audience, and so on. So having said this, I'm signing off today with this topic, and see you tomorrow with a more relevant topic based on certain soft skill or some technical skill. So I'm just giving that hint to you, and I wish you a very good evening ahead, and use it wisely wherever you are, whether you are in your presentation, or whether you are getting ready for the presentation, or you are lined up, yeah, or any presentation lined up for the next week. Please see to it all my these tips, they are so useful to you, and I'm sure that you will use them very effectively, because you all are a good audience, and I can see that. Yes, yes, yeah, so many yes here. Please use them, ladies, because this is something which is very important, and nowadays you have access to lot of information, to you can use that information on how to improve on your presentation skills and really do well for your careers. So having said this, bye bye, see you, take care, love you all.